everyone. Today we are going to be looking at subtracting rational numbers. So in our last lesson we were looking at adding rational numbers, and we were using our understanding of adding negatives, adding positives, and using those things to add positive and negative fractions and positive and negative decimals. We're going to do the exact same thing today, except we are looking at subtraction of rational numbers. So the biggest thing that we need to remember from our integers lesson that we can move forward is that when we subtract, we are really just adding the opposite. This right here is our main idea and the thought that when you subtract, you are really just adding the opposite. We're going to bring that idea forward so that we can streamline this process of rational numbers and make it a little bit easier, hopefully, to understand the process that's happening. So first, let's talk about some fractions. So in the first fraction that I have, fraction A, or rational number A, I have negative 4 and 1/7 minus 5/7. Okay, and they want us to subtract those rational numbers. So we're going to be able to do that, but first we are going to need to change this first number from a mixed number to an improper fraction. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and turn this fraction now into a this mixed number into a fraction, an improper fraction. So we're going to do that by figuring out how many 7 out of 7s is in this giant 4, so 4 wholes. So we can multiply here and add there, and just go around in a circle like this. So we know that 4 times 7 is 28, plus 1 more is 29. So that gives us 29/7. Oh my gosh, that's not a 7. 29/7. And we need to bring this negative sign over with us. And we are subtracting 5/7. So now what we're going to do is we are just going to add the opposite. And when I say add the opposite, I mean I am going to add these two numbers and use this symbol with it. So since it says to remove 5/7, I'm really going to add -5/7. So this looks like 29/7 plus -5/7. You have the exact same thing that we did in our last lesson. Now we're just going to add. I have negatives, and I'm going to add on more negatives. So 29 negatives plus 5 more negatives. I owe someone $29 and I borrow $5 more. That says I have -34/7. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this number now and we're going to reduce it. So I have -34/7, and I just divide 34 divided by 7. Well, I know that 7 times 4 is 28, and 7 times 5 is 35, so that's going to be too much. So I have -4 and 28 minus 34 is 6/7. So when I reduce this down, I end up with -4 and 6/7. sevenths. So again, I just added the opposite in order to keep this as a subtraction or an addition problem, just like what we did in our last lesson. Okay, let's look at another problem. Example B. So in this lesson, example B has for us two mixed numbers. So we have to change both of those mixed numbers. Example B also does not have a common denominator like it did up here. So example B is giving us everything that we are going to need to practice. So we have -8 and 2/3 minus 6 and 1/6. Okay, so when we are looking at this problem, we are again going to make mixed numbers. So let's start with this first one. Let's start with this one as a mixed number. So I'm going to multiply here and add here around in a circle. So this is the same as saying I have 3 times 8. 3 times 8 is 24 plus 2 more. 3 times 8 is 24 plus 2 more is 26. And it is a negative sign. So I have -26 over 3. So these two match. Okay, now I have 6 and 1/6. So I'm subtracting 6 times 6 plus 1. 6 times 6 is 36 plus 1 is 37. 37 over 6. Okay, I am not done yet. I'm not ready to add the opposite. And the reason why I'm not ready to add the opposite yet is because this number here does not match the denominator here. So my two denominators do not match, so I'm going to create a common denominator. -26 over 3, and I can go to 6 by multiplying by 2 on the bottom. That gives me a 6. And then by multiplying by a 2 on the top. So now I can do both of these. So 6 times 2 is 12. Let's go like this. 26 times 2. So 6 times 2 is 12. Carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So that gives me 52, and it was a negative. So -52 over 6. And now I have -37 over 6. Okay, whew, this is a lot of work just because we had two mixed numbers. So I am working with -52 over 6 minus 37 over 6. But we remember up above, we want to add the opposite. We don't want to subtract. We want to add the opposite. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite this problem as -52 over 6. And we are going to add the opposite of 37 over 6, which is keeping that sign with it. And now we're just going to move it over, -37 over 6. So now what I have is, I have a negative plus more negatives. And so this gives me a total of 7, 8, 9, 8, 89 over 6. I'm not done. I need to reduce this down. So I'm going to figure out how many times 6 can go into 89. And then I will be ready for that. Okay, so Let's see here. 6 times 11 would give us 66. So it's got to be more than that. So it is going to be 14. So we have negative 14 and we have 5, 6 left over. This is my final answer. Okay, it is your turn now for a try it with fractions. All right, so here are some try-its. Again, you're just adding the opposite of what is there. Okay, so we're just going to add the opposite of what is there and just move the sign over. Okay. Actually, let's do this one because I think you guys will be able to do this one. 1/3 minus a negative 1/3. Again, we're just going to add the opposite. So again, it's just 2 negatives. We make them a big giant positive. And then number 2, try it number 2. Try it number 2 has 4 minus 5 and a half. All right, so go ahead and hit pause right now so you don't hear me solving, and then when you are ready, you can come on back and check your work. All right, so this one, again, adding the opposite. So if I had 1/3 and I add the opposite, I just have positives, right? So all I'm doing here is just adding. So I just move my 3 over and I get 2/3. I could have also looked at both of those and just made that big giant plus sign like we do. Okay, this one's going to take a little bit of extra. This one has a whole number. So this here is 4, but we're going to put it over 1 to make it into a fraction. Okay, that's the improper fraction. And then we have 5 and a half. So I'm going to do 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1 is 11. So I get 11/2. I need to multiply this one over here because it needs to be multiplied by 2/2, so I have a common denominator. So now I have 8/2. 8/2 minus 11/2. Again, I want to add the opposite. So I'm going to take 8/2 and I'm going to add it to negative 11/2. I'm just keeping that negative sign with the top number. Okay, all I have to do now is think about my my integer rules. I have positive 8 and I remove negative 11. So if I have positive 8 and I remove 11, or I add on negative 11, sorry, let's look at this. 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now I'm going to add on 11 negatives. 8, 9, 10, and 11. And then I have negative 3. So I have negative 3/2, or 1 1/2 negative. Okay? All right, we are now going to look at doing a problem that has a decimal, just so that you can be familiar with those decimals. And then from there, I'll do a try it with you, and then you can do your practice. Okay, so here we go. Problem C. So example C says that I have 2.4 and I need to subtract that from 5.6. Okay, We're going to rewrite these as fractions. So I have 2 and 4/10. So 2 and 4/10 minus 5 and 6/10. Now we're going to convert these to improper fractions. So times plus 10 times 2 is 10 times 2 is 20 plus 4 is 24 over 10. That's that one. This one, I get 10 times 5 is 50 plus 6 is 56. So I'm subtracting 56 over 10. Okay, but I don't want to do that. I want to add the opposite. So instead of 24 over 10 minus 56, I have 24 over 10 plus negative 56 over 10. Okay, we're going to ignore the bottoms and just focus on the top rules. So I have 24 and I add negative 56. So I have 24 and I add negative 56. That equals negative 32. And I put that over 10. So that gives me 32 divided by 10 is negative 3 and 2/10, or negative 3.2. Negative 3.2. Putting it back into decimal form. All right, it is your turn now to do a try it. Yep, we're going to do a try it here. And number, why did I write that? Okay, try it. Try it. And your try it says I have negative 2 and 1/10 minus 3.9. All right. You can also do, I think you could handle this one. This one's a bonus, okay? Negative 8.8 minus a negative 8.8. Okay, this one you probably don't even have to convert into decimals. Okay, go ahead and hit pause right now so you don't hear me talking. And then when you are ready, go ahead and hit play. So I'm going to make this first one is the same thing as saying negative 2 and 1/10. So I'm going to turn this into 20 plus 1 is 21. So negative 21 over 10. This problem right here is 3 and 9/10. Or if I multiply and add and around in a circle, I get 39 over 10. I want to subtract both of these problems, so I have negative 21 over 10 plus, I'm going to do the opposite, add negative 39 over 10. Okay, I have a lot of negatives here. So I have negative 21 and I add on 39 more negatives. 2 reds. So 9, 10. So that's negative 60. So this equals negative 60 over 10. And we can reduce this down. We can, sorry, itch on my leg. We can reduce this one down to be negative 6 because 60 divided by 10 equals 6. So we're just going to do negative 6. Okay. All right. This problem you don't even need to convert into fractions. And here's why. Let me show you. I have negative 8.8 and I have this. If I add the opposite, I'm doing that big giant plus sign. So I have negative 8.8, and I add on to that a positive 8.8. Well, if I had negative 8 and I add positive 8, I'm going to have 0. It's the same thing with those decimals. So when I have negative 8.8, I owe someone $8.80, and I give them $8.80, I now owe them nothing. So this zeroes out, and look, we get donut math. Oh, we love donut math. Donut math is the best, and it's a great way to celebrate this lesson. Good job. Get your sprinkles on there. Okay, how did you do on today's lesson? Where are you at? Answer your essential question. How do we subtract rational numbers? And then go ahead and put your rating out to this side. How are you feeling about subtracting rational numbers? And then when you are done, you can either come on over to the Google Meet and ask for help if you need it, or you may go on and do your practice work. As always, I appreciate all of your effort and hard work, and make it a great day.